Shotguns in Borderlands 4 are absolute chaos. Some of them add rooms instantly, and some of them feel like you're firing confetti. What's good, everyone? It's Verti here, and welcome back to Power Ranking Shotgun Rumble. Every legendary, every gimmick, every surprise, ranked by yours truly so that you know which ones to keep close and which ones to bury out back in the backyard. And look, we got a lot of shorties to go through, so let's get started straight away with the Linebacker. And this one have surprised me. I could almost say that he shocked me. Not a gun that I see a lot of conversations circling around, but I do recommend that you give it a try. The way that it works is that it shoots projectiles that are bouncing until they reach the enemy. Bouncing off of walls, off of floors, off of roofs, everything. And the more it bounces, the more damage it's going to do. It is incredibly satisfying to use, incredibly strong, but does have its limitations given the open space and given the flying enemies and all that kind of things. So while I think it is definitely belongs into A tier because I absolutely love it, it's incredible, but it's not quite an S tier because it does have these said limitations. Next up is the Golden God. And look, I know what you're going to say. The Golden God, I have a build for that is incredible and it melts everyone. And I agree with that. I understand how it works, and I understand that if you can manage an unlimited ammo and you can sustain, it can become real strong real quick. But the problem is that if you don't, this gun is basically useless. It's going to chew up your ammo in 5 seconds and you're going to end up holding your parts in your hand. So by that definition, I'm going to put it in the niche tier because if you build around it, you can make it work and you can have some real fun with it. But otherwise, that gun is kind of dead on arrival. Next up though is the Hot Slugger, the Jacob's favorite. This is one of those guns that is just defining the game, let's put it that way. It is incredibly strong. The only downside, and I say this with a caveat, is that you need to know a little bit of tech around it with how to reload spam in order to make sure that you can really get the fire rate up. Otherwise, if you just press the button and then reload slowly, it's not really going to work. But if you get the tech down, it is absolute godsend. Even if you don't, it's going to chunk so incredibly hard that it is crazy. And if there are enemies around, they'll get killed by the ricochet, and you're going to constantly keep the buff up, even if you're focusing only on your main target. So this is straight up S tier. But be warned, you are going to get carpal tunnels from this because you spamming reload and then shooting, it is unforgiving on your physical well-being. So take a break every now and again. And talking about breaks, we're going to get to Sweet Embrace. And look, this one is clearly a break from real mechanics. It is just a shotgun, nothing else. The only thing it does is it is always frost, and cryo is good, but you can't freeze bosses, so it has its limitations to begin with. And the Sweet Embrace itself is it's going to shoot 4 projectiles. Not an issue if you're up close, but if you're shooting a smaller target or if you're shooting at a distance, you're gonna miss half your bullets, doesn't matter how well you aim because of the way that the hitboxes work. So I think it really needs a buff, so it's gonna sit into C tier, at least something minor so that it can bump it up a little bit on the power because it really shows that it falls behind. Up next is the Hellwalker, or as I like to call it, the mini Hot Slugger. It is pretty much the same as the Hot Slugger in terms of use. It doesn't require the reload spam, you cannot do the reload spam. And it's always fire, so falls into the same category as the Hellfire from the SMGs, where I'm gonna rate it as a B tier because it's a really good all-around. It is worse than the Hot Slugger, but it is more fun and easier to, not more fun, it's easier to use than the Hot Slugger. And then we got the Rainbow Vomit next, and look, the Rainbow Vomit is a really nice gun. And we're gonna have a comparison about the Rainbow Vomit in a little bit later, right? So basically what happens is that you can get 2 different elements and then you just apply those elements with a really solid but very hard follow-off on the projectiles. It is really nice to use. It's a really good all-rounder. You can always have it run around with it and it's just gonna perform well. But it is nothing to write home about. It will never one-shot enemies. It will never wipe out rooms. It will just kill the target that you want to kill. If you're not in a hurry and you enjoy the colors, you enjoy the sound, it is going to be a really good gun. But like this, it's going to live in B tier alongside Hellwalker. And then, Anarchy. And oh boy, was I surprised. So listen up. The thing with Anarchy is that it is The more you kill, the more stacks you have. And the stacks don't go away if you die. In long sessions, when you're shooting a lot of enemies, the damage will absolutely ramp up to a crazy level. So, I was shocked by how strong this weapon got when I had all the 20 stacks. But it's gonna have to go into the A tier and not to the S tier, because the stacks go away if you mount up or if you swap weapons. As long as you don't do those, you're gonna be fine. But if you do, it's gonna be really slow until you bounce it up again. And next up we got the bod. And what can you say about bod that hasn't been said 1,000 times? Look, I think the bod is by far the weapon of the game. It is the strongest, the easiest to use, and the most destructive power that it holds. It is the king, coming for its crown, going straight into S tier. Let me know in the comments if you think there is a stronger gun than the bod in the game. I am curious to hear what I'm missing. Also, shameless plug, if you need a build to run with the bod, I do recommend my Wax build if you're into that little siren rascal. It is really strong. Moving on though, to Convergence. And Convergence is kind of like the Rainbow Vomit, just a little bit better. It is a surprisingly strong gun. It is not game breaking, but the projectiles are a solid constant DPS and you can do some real destruction with it. A really nice gun. I'm gonna put it into the A tier straight up. And then we got Acey May. And it was difficult to farm in the beginning because it was a world drop. Now it has a dedicated drop, which is good. And it's all right. I mean, I call it the baby bod. It doesn't really do anything else other than being a DD shotgun. The problem is that the projectile is a little heart-shaped. And it is cute, right? Cutesy-bootsy. But that projectile can miss so that your bullets are going to get diminished and so on. But it is a DD. So the enhancement can bump it across a higher level. But I don't think it has any of the fun effect that the A tier, and it's not as strong as the S tier. So I'm going to put it into the B tier for me because it is a good gun to use, but I'm not going to write a letter about it. Up next is the Forsaken Chaos. And this is just a wide net. It doesn't do anything at all. I think it's way too weak. It really could use a buff, right? I mean, it's okay, it's easy enough to hit people with it, but there is nothing great about this. And again, this falls into the same category as some of the other guns like the First Impressions. It was a gun that was given to us in the DLC, so it could not be that strong because otherwise they would have shot themselves in the foot. I'm a firm believer on that. So for now, I think it's time that they can buff it. It's going into the C tier. And up next is the Goremaster. And look, the Goremaster is just not a chief. It does a good enough damage, right? I mean, it's a shotgun, it shoots pellets, it's gonna have a high impact. But the fact that you just get 30% DPS on the 35% of health, or something like that. The problem that I have with this is that the DPS picks up when the mob is on low health. But on the other 70%, you lose out on so much DPS against anything else that's on the list that is just not worth having it. This is going to go into the F tier. It is a placeholder for me. I have one version and I don't want any more than that. Easy as that. And coming up is the Husky Friend. And look, the Husky Friend is... I'm going to be on a negative streak right now. It is the worst shotgun in the entire game. I don't even know... don't even come at me with this Theodore build. Like, yes, I know you can build around it and you can chuck it, but that's not the Husky Friend's benefit. That's a TD or Throne build, not a Husky Friend build. It shoots out a little turret. The turret doesn't do a whole lot of damage either. It's a meme gun. It has always been a meme gun. It still is a meme gun. It's going into the F tier together with the Goremaster. And then we got Kaleidosplode. And Kaleidosplode is a cool looking gun. And the idea of spreading all elements is nice, but it just doesn't work. So in case you're not aware of it, it shoots out the little colorful balls, right? And the colors in the balls are actually the elements. So it does theoretically have the chance to spread any element to the target. But here's the problem. The balls, they fly weird. They explode on anything that it impacts, and it does way too little damage. If you just want to spread elements, you're going to get a rainbow vomit. This is what I was talking about, that we're going to talk about this one in a comparison. The Kaleidosplode, I think, just simply needs a buff, so it's going to go into the C tier. And then I'm going to piss every one of you off, and I don't care. It's the Kickballer, and I hate it. It is only good if you farm Reaper sights from a distance in a position where you cannot die. Otherwise, the destruction is great. It is really fun to use, I'll admit. Yeah, it is fun to see your screen blow up, but that's it. The clear speed is actually going to be slower because you're going to be dead half the time, and there's no avoiding that. Yeah, like there's nothing that's going to save you. You will kill yourself all the time. So I'll be generous. I don't think it's a shit gun. I hate it personally, but I'm going to put it into the niche tier because either you got to build for this that makes it work, and then, well, not makes it work. You got to build for this where you can stand in a corner, cower, and hope that nothing hits you from your own damage, otherwise you're not using it. And coming up is the lead balloon, a lead balloon. And this is a finicky gun. I kind of like where they were going with it, where you shoot it out and then it flies up and then it crashes down. But there is no aiming that. So reliably, the only way where you can use that is if you go real close and you catch him before it starts flying up, but then it does less damage and you can kill yourself with the splash. So with that in mind, I don't even know what I would like for it. Maybe something where it can home a little bit on the target so that it can always guarantee some damage, and then you're sacrificing a little bit of fire rate speed until the projectile travels for the damage. But like this, I'm afraid it just needs a little bit of a buff. And last up, we got TK's Wave. And this is the bouncing projectiles. I talked about this in the Dirty Little Secrets video. It is really a lot of fun. It looks really cool. It does a lot of damage if it gets into a situation where the walls are tight. So indoors, it's great. But other than that, it is just kind of situational. I don't think it needs a buff. I think it needs a circumstance more than a buff. So I'm going to put it into the niche here together with that. It's going to be one of those guns that you use for a couple of hours and then you'll probably put it away because you want to kind of get a little bit more power. And look, these are all the shotguns that we have in the game, right? So up next, we're still going to have pistol snipers and maybe the heavy. But so far, let me know what you think about the list. Let me know if something made it too high or too low. I can trust you guys that you're always going to be honest with me in the comments, so keep it coming. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.